How many times in your life have you blamed yourself for feeling too much, for being too sensitive, too emotional, too affected by the world around you? How often have you heard that quiet voice of judgment whispering that you should be stronger, more controlled, less vulnerable? Perhaps you've been told to toughen up, to get over it, to stop being so dramatic. And so you learn to fight against your own feelings, pushing them down, hiding them away, treating your emotions like enemies that needed to be defeated. But here's what no one tells you. The fight itself is what creates your suffering. Through meditation and the wisdom of the Dharma, we discover something profound. We don't suffer because of our emotions, but because of the war we wage against them. Every moment spent trying not to feel is a moment spent in resistance to life itself, and this resistance is exhausting, depleting, and ultimately futile. The Buddha taught that suffering arises not from emotions themselves, but from our relationship with them. When we grasp at pleasant feelings, desperate to make them permanent, we suffer. When we push away unpleasant feelings, fighting their presence with all our might, we suffer. This is the paradox that ancient wisdom reveals. The war we wage against our feelings is precisely what keeps us imprisoned by them. Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean, commanding the waves to stop coming. The waves continue, indifferent to your demands, while you exhaust yourself in futile resistance. Our emotions are like these waves. They arise from causes and conditions. They swell, they break upon the shore of our awareness, and they recede. Through mindfulness, we learn that we are not the waves themselves, but the vast ocean that holds them all. When we stop fighting the waves and instead witness their natural rhythm, we discover a peace that was always present beneath the surface. This understanding changes everything. It transforms our relationship with anxiety, sadness, anger, and fear. It opens a doorway to freedom that we never knew existed. What if the emotions you've been fighting all this time were actually messengers carrying wisdom? What if your resistance has been the lock and acceptance the key? The meaning of fighting with your emotions. Fighting with our emotions manifests in countless subtle ways. We distract ourselves the moment discomfort arises, scrolling through our phones, turning up the music, pouring another drink. We rationalize our feelings away, telling ourselves we shouldn't feel this way, that it's irrational, that we should be stronger. We judge ourselves harshly for having emotions at all, as if feeling were a weakness rather than part of being fully human. The nature of mind is such that what we resist persists. Buddhist psychology teaches us that this resistance actually amplifies the very emotions we're trying to escape. When anger arises and we immediately try to suppress it, we create a second layer of suffering, the suffering of suppression itself. The original anger may have been a passing cloud, but our fight against it becomes a storm. Consider how this unfolds in daily life. You feel a wave of anxiety before an important meeting. Instead of acknowledging this anxiety with gentle awareness, you tell yourself to stop being anxious, to just get over it, to be confident. The anxiety doesn't dissolve, it intensifies. Now you're anxious about being anxious, caught in a spiral of resistance. This is the exhausting dance we perform, trying to control what was never meant to be controlled. Through the practice of meditation, we begin to see this pattern clearly. We observe how the mind labels emotions as enemies to be defeated rather than experiences to be understood. We notice the tremendous energy consumed in this internal warfare, energy that could be flowing freely into presence, creativity, and genuine connection with life. The Buddha understood this deeply. In his teachings on the Four Noble Truths, He identified craving and aversion as the roots of suffering. We don't suffer because sadness exists, but because we crave for it to be something other than what it is. We don't suffer because anger arises, but because we believe we shouldn't feel it and desperately try to make it disappear. The suffering is in the struggle, not in the emotion itself. This is why so many people feel exhausted by their own inner lives. They are fighting a battle that cannot be won, because emotions are not enemies to be conquered. They are natural phenomena arising and passing within the vast spaciousness of awareness. When we stop fighting, we discover something remarkable. Emotions transform on their own when we simply allow them to be as they are. The three roots of suffering. Ancient Buddhist wisdom identifies three fundamental poisons that keep us trapped in cycles of suffering: attachment, aversion, and ignorance. These three roots interweave with our emotional life in profound ways, creating the conditions for our inner battles. Attachment, the first poison, manifests as craving for pleasant emotions to last forever. We grasp at moments of joy, trying to hold them tight, terrified they will slip away. We become attached to feeling happy, calm, or confident, and this very attachment creates anxiety. When pleasant emotions naturally fade, as all emotions do, we feel betrayed. We chase after the next high, the next moment of pleasure, never finding lasting satisfaction because we're seeking permanence in what is inherently impermanent. Consider the person who experiences a moment of deep peace during meditation and then spends months trying to recreate that exact experience. The original peace arose spontaneously from the right conditions, but now there is grasping, striving, attachment to a particular state. The meditation practice becomes another arena for desire, another place where we fail to find the peace we seek because we're seeking it with such desperate attachment. Aversion, the second poison, is our tendency to push away what we find unpleasant. This is perhaps the most obvious form of fighting with our feelings. Sadness arises, and we immediately reach for distraction. Anger surfaces, and we judge ourselves as bad people. Fear appears, and we tell ourselves we're being weak or irrational. This pushing away, this rejecting of our own experience, creates a split within ourselves. We become divided, part of us feeling the emotion, part of us fighting against it. The energy of aversion is aggression turned inward. Buddhism teaches that aversion includes hatred, ill will, and anger, keeping us trapped in the belief that we'd be happy if only this moment would change. But the moment is already here. Our discomfort with it doesn't change it, it only adds another layer of suffering. When we practice loving kindness toward our difficult emotions, we begin to heal this inner split. Ignorance, the third poison, is perhaps the most subtle and profound. It is the inability to see things as they really are, the fundamental misunderstanding of reality. In relation to emotions, ignorance manifests as the belief that our feelings define who we are. We say, "I am angry," rather than "anger is present." We identify so completely with our emotional states that we believe they are our essential self. This confusion causes immense suffering. If I believe that I am my anxiety, then when anxiety arises, my entire identity feels threatened. The anxiety becomes not just an uncomfortable sensation, but an existential crisis. Through mindfulness practice, we begin to see that emotions are experiences passing through awareness, not the core of who we are. This recognition brings profound freedom. The three poisons work together, creating a web of suffering around our emotional life. We crave pleasant feelings, reject unpleasant ones, and believe these feelings define us. Breaking free requires not more fighting, but clear seeing. When we understand the nature of these poisons, we can work skillfully with their antidotes. Generosity instead of grasping, loving, kindness instead of aversion, and wisdom instead of ignorance. Impermanence and emotions. Impermanence, known as anicca in Pali, is a fundamental concept in Buddhism and one of the three marks of existence alongside non-self and suffering. It refers to the idea that everything subject to causes and conditions is in a constant state of change, never static. This truth transforms our relationship with emotions when we truly understand it, not just intellectually but experientially through meditation and mindful observation. Every emotion that arises will also pass away. This is not wishful thinking or positive affirmation. It is the basic nature of reality. Anger burns hot and fierce, and then it fades. Joy sparkles bright, and then it softens. Sadness washes over us like a wave, and then it recedes. The emotion that feels overwhelming in this moment will not feel the same in the next moment, or the next hour, or tomorrow. Everything is in flux, nothing remains static. Yet we live as if our emotions were permanent fixtures. When anxiety grips us, it feels like it will never end. When depression settles in, we cannot imagine feeling any other way. This is where ignorance clouds our perception. Understanding and accepting impermanence at a profound level can liberate us from the grip of attachment and the cycle of suffering. When we recognize that emotions are temporary visitors, we can hold them with a lighter touch. Think of emotions as clouds passing through the sky of your awareness. Some clouds are dark and heavy with rain, others light and wispy. But no cloud remains in one place. The wind moves them along, they transform, they dissipate. The sky itself, your fundamental awareness, remains unchanging, able to hold all weather patterns without being damaged by any of them. Through meditation, we learn to identify with the sky rather than the clouds. This understanding doesn't mean we become cold or detached. Rather, it allows us to be fully present with our emotions without fearing they will destroy us. When sadness comes, we can acknowledge it. This is sadness. It is here now. It will pass. We don't need to fight it or rush its departure. We don't need to grasp at it or make it mean something about our worth. We simply allow it to move through its natural cycle. Vipassana meditation allows individuals to directly observe impermanence by mindfully experiencing sensations, watching them arise, persist momentarily, and fade away. This direct observation is transformative. Sitting in meditation, we feel an itch arise on our arm. We resist the urge to scratch, and instead simply observe. The itch intensifies, becomes almost unbearable, and then it fades. It passes. Without our intervention, without our struggle, it simply moves through its cycle. Every emotion follows this same pattern when we give it space to complete its natural arc. The fear of emotions often stems from believing they will overwhelm us permanently. If I let myself feel this grief, I will drown in it forever. If I acknowledge this anger, I will be consumed by rage. But impermanence shows us this is not true. When we stop fighting and allow the emotion to be fully present, it completes its cycle more quickly than when we resist it. The wave we feared would destroy us simply rises and falls, leaving us standing. This doesn't mean pain is not real or that suffering is illusion. It means that within pain and suffering, there is also constant change, and therefore space for transformation. The heartbreak you feel today will not feel exactly the same tomorrow, even if the circumstances haven't changed. Your relationship to it will shift, your body will process it differently, new thoughts will arise. Nothing is frozen in time, including your emotional experience. Mindfulness and non-judgmental observation. The practice of mindfulness offers us a revolutionary way of being with our emotions. Instead of fighting what we feel, we learn to observe it with gentle, curious awareness. This is not passive resignation, but active engagement. We are fully present with our experience without adding the suffering of judgment and resistance. Mindfulness begins with the simple recognition: this is what is happening right now. Not this shouldn't be happening, or I hate that this is happening, or I need to make this stop happening. Just, this is what is. This present moment, awareness allows us to see our emotions clearly, without the distortions of judgment. Through meditation, we develop the capacity to observe our inner landscape, the way we might watch leaves floating down a stream. We notice anger arising, we note its presence. Anger is here. We don't immediately leap to, I am angry, or I shouldn't feel this way, or this anger means something is wrong with me. We simply observe. Anger has arisen as a temporary phenomenon in the field of awareness. This practice of naming emotions without judgment is profoundly liberating. We notice the impermanent nature of each emotional state, observing how sensations arise, persist momentarily, and fade away. This is sadness. This is anxiety. This is frustration. The naming creates a small space between us and the emotion. We are the one observing sadness, not sadness itself. This space is where freedom lives. The breath becomes our anchor in this practice. When emotions feel overwhelming, we can always return to the simple sensation of breathing. Inhale, the belly rises. Exhale, the belly falls. The breath continues, regardless of what we're feeling, providing a steady foundation when everything else feels unstable. We don't use the breath to push away emotions, but rather as a grounding point from which we can safely witness them. Body awareness is equally important. Emotions are not abstract concepts floating in space. They manifest as physical sensations in the body. Anxiety might show up as tightness in the chest or butterflies in the stomach. Anger might present as heat in the face or tension in the shoulders. By bringing mindful awareness to these physical sensations, we work with emotion at its most fundamental level. Try this practice. When an emotion arises, instead of immediately thinking about it or trying to change it, simply locate where you feel it in your body. Is there tightness, heat, heaviness? Observe these sensations with curiosity rather than judgment. Notice how they change moment by moment. Sometimes just this simple act of observing dissolves the emotion naturally, without any effort to make it go away. Non-judgmental observation doesn't mean we approve of every emotion or that we act on every impulse. It means we acknowledge what is present without adding the extra burden of self-criticism. You can observe anger without judging yourself as a bad person. You can notice fear without calling yourself weak. The emotion is simply a natural phenomenon arising from causes and conditions, no different than the weather. This practice requires patience and self-compassion. We've spent years, perhaps decades, fighting our emotions. The pattern of resistance is deeply ingrained. When we notice ourselves slipping back into judgment and struggle, we practice what the Buddha taught: begin again. With gentleness, we return to simple observation. This is what is happening now. No need to fight, no need to fix. Just this moment, held in awareness. Acceptance instead of resistance. Acceptance is perhaps the most misunderstood concept in working with emotions. It does not mean resignation or giving up. It does not mean we like what's happening or that we stop working toward positive change. Acceptance means we acknowledge reality as it is in this moment, without adding the extra suffering of wishing it were different. This is the courage to face life directly. When grief arises after a loss, acceptance means we allow ourselves to feel the grief fully, rather than trying to skip over it or numb it away. When anxiety appears before a difficult conversation, acceptance means we acknowledge the anxiety's presence without judging ourselves for feeling it. We stop fighting reality and instead meet it with an open heart. There is a beautiful teaching in Buddhism about inviting difficult emotions to sit for tea. Instead of slamming the door when fear or anger or sadness appears at our threshold, we open the door wide. Welcome. I see you. Come in. Sit down. What have you come to tell me? This radical hospitality toward our own experience transforms everything. Each emotion carries information, a message about our needs, values, and circumstances. Anger might be pointing to a boundary that's been violated. Sadness might be honoring something precious that we've lost. Fear might be alerting us to pay attention and prepare. When we stop fighting these messengers and instead listen to what they're saying, we gain valuable insight into our inner life. Acceptance practice begins with small steps. Perhaps you start by accepting one difficult emotion for just 1 minute. Set a timer, sit with the feeling, and simply allow it to be present without trying to change it. Notice what happens. Often, the emotion shifts on its own when we stop resisting it. The intensity might increase briefly, this is normal, like a wave cresting, and then it naturally begins to subside. Meditation exercises are believed to broaden attention, enhance positive emotions, and lessen negative emotional states by turning toward experiences with a kind, open, patient, and tolerant manner. This turning toward rather than running away is the essence of acceptance. We develop the capacity to be with difficulty without being destroyed by it. The practice of acceptance also includes accepting our resistance. You might notice yourself fighting an emotion and then judge yourself for fighting. I should be more accepting. I'm failing at this practice. This creates layers of struggle upon struggle. Instead, we can accept even our resistance. Right now, there is resistance to sadness. This resistance is also an experience arising in awareness. We include everything, even our imperfections, in the circle of acceptance. As acceptance deepens, something shifts in our relationship with difficult emotions. They begin to feel less threatening because we know we can handle them. We've sat with grief and survived. We've felt the full force of anger without acting destructively. We've trembled with fear and remained standing. This builds what meditation teachers call container strength, the capacity to hold all of our experience without fragmenting. This doesn't happen overnight. Years of fighting create deep grooves in the mind, and it takes time and practice to establish new patterns. But each moment of acceptance, no matter how brief, begins to rewire our relationship with emotions. We discover that what we feared would destroy us is actually workable, bearable, even informative when we stop fighting and start allowing. Specific practice techniques. The wisdom teachings become real through practice. Here are specific techniques you can use to stop fighting with your feelings and instead meet them with mindful awareness. Begin with naming the emotion. When you notice yourself caught in an emotional storm, pause and simply name what you're feeling. This is anxiety. This is disappointment. This is loneliness. The naming doesn't solve anything, but it creates a small gap between you and the emotion. You become the one observing rather than being completely identified with the feeling. Conscious breathing provides an anchor when emotions feel overwhelming. Place one hand on your belly and breathe deeply, feeling your hand rise and fall. Count your breaths if it helps. Inhale for 4 counts, exhale for 6 counts. The extended exhale activates the parasympathetic nervous system, naturally calming the body. You're not breathing to make the emotion go away, but rather to create a stable foundation from which to meet it. Body scan meditation brings awareness to the physical dimension of emotion. Sit or lie comfortably and slowly move your attention through your body. Start at the top of your head and gradually scan downward face, neck, shoulders, arms, chest, belly, hips, legs, feet. Notice any areas of tension, tightness, or discomfort. Breathe into these areas with gentle awareness. Often, emotions store themselves in the body, and bringing mindful attention to these physical sensations can help them release naturally. Open observation meditation is the practice of simply sitting with whatever arises without trying to control your experience. Set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes. Sit in a comfortable position and allow your attention to rest openly. Thoughts will come, emotions will surface, physical sensations will appear. Instead of following any particular thread, simply observe thought, emotion, sensation. You're training the mind to hold all experience with equanimity. Emotional journaling provides a space to externalize and explore your feelings. When an emotion feels particularly intense, write about it, not with the goal of solving anything, but simply to give the emotion expression. Write in stream of consciousness. I'm feeling so angry right now. My chest is tight. I keep thinking about. Let the words flow without censoring. Often this process clarifies what the emotion is really about and creates natural distance from it. Mindful walking brings meditation into movement. When you're feeling restless or agitated, walk slowly and deliberately, paying attention to each step. Feel your foot lift, move forward, and touch down. Feel the shift of weight from one leg to the other. If emotions arise during the walk, acknowledge them and return attention to the walking. The rhythmic movement, combined with mindful awareness, can help metabolize difficult emotions. Practice compassionate inner dialogue. Notice the tone of voice you use when talking to yourself about your emotions. Is it harsh and critical? Experiment with speaking to yourself the way you would speak to a dear friend who was struggling. This is really hard right now. Of course, you're feeling this way. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. This simple shift in self-talk can transform your relationship with difficult emotions. Loving-kindness meditation uses visualization and repeated phrases to cultivate feelings of compassion, warmth, and connection, often beginning with phrases directed toward ourselves. Start by placing a hand on your heart and repeating, "May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I accept myself as I am. May I be free from suffering." Let these phrases sink in, especially when you're struggling with difficult emotions. Set healthy boundaries in your practice. It's important to distinguish between feeling your emotions fully and dwelling in them unhelpfully. If you notice yourself ruminating, going over the same thoughts repeatedly without insight, that's different from mindful observation. In rumination, you're feeding the emotion, making it grow. In mindfulness, you're simply witnessing it without adding fuel. Learning this distinction takes practice. Remember that these techniques are not meant to make emotions disappear. They're meant to help you be present with your emotions without fighting them. Some days the practices will feel easy and natural. Other days they will feel impossible. This is the nature of practice. It's not about perfection, but about returning again and again to presence, to awareness, to acceptance. Self-compassion. Perhaps the most essential ingredient in stopping the fight with our feelings is self-compassion. Self-compassion involves treating ourselves with the same kindness we would offer a close friend who is struggling, reducing negative emotions toward ourselves and fostering a sense of worthiness. So often, we are cruel to ourselves about our emotions. We judge ourselves for feeling anxious, tell ourselves we're weak for feeling sad, criticize ourselves for getting angry. This self-judgment is like pouring salt into an open wound. It doesn't help. It only makes the pain worse. Self-compassion is the healing balm we've been withholding from ourselves. When difficult emotions arise, what if you placed a hand on your heart and acknowledged, "This is a moment of suffering. This is hard. May I be kind to myself in this moment." These simple phrases, drawn from self-compassion practice, remind us that we deserve our own care, especially when we're struggling. Buddhist teachings emphasize that all beings wish to be happy and free from suffering. This includes you. You are not exempt from deserving kindness because you're feeling something you judge as negative. Your pain matters. Your struggles are valid. The very fact that you're experiencing difficulty is reason enough to meet yourself with gentleness. Loving kindness, meditation, or metta practice begins with directing kind wishes toward yourself before extending them to others, recognizing that we cannot genuinely offer compassion to others if we withhold it from ourselves. This traditional practice teaches us that self-love is not selfish, it's the foundation for a more compassionate life. Practice this. Think of someone you care about who is going through a difficult time. Notice how naturally compassion arises for them. You might think, "I wish they didn't have to suffer like this. I hope they find peace." Now turn that same quality of caring toward yourself. "I wish I didn't have to suffer like this. I hope I find peace." Feel the difference between harsh self-judgment and this tender self-compassion. Forgiveness is part of self-compassion, especially forgiveness for being human. You will have moments when you react unskillfully to your emotions, when you snap at someone because you're overwhelmed, when you avoid what you need to face, when you fall back into old patterns of resistance. These moments don't make you a failure, they make you human. Through meditation and mindfulness, we learn to forgive ourselves and begin again. Self-compassion also means setting boundaries that protect your well-being. It's compassionate to say no to situations that consistently trigger overwhelming emotions you're not yet equipped to handle. It's compassionate to ask for help when you need it. It's compassionate to take a break from difficult practices when you're feeling depleted. True compassion includes wisdom about what serves our genuine well-being. The practice of self-compassion can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've spent years believing you don't deserve kindness. You might feel resistance, skepticism, or even grief for all the years you withheld care from yourself. These reactions are normal. Notice them with the same gentle awareness you're learning to bring to all experiences. Even resistance to self-compassion can be met with compassion. Integration into daily life. The true test of these practices comes not on the meditation cushion but in daily life. when emotions arise unexpectedly and you don't have time to prepare. This is where the teachings become lived wisdom rather than abstract concepts. Start each morning with 3 conscious breaths, before reaching for your phone, before your mind fills with the day's agenda. Simply breathe. This small practice grounds you in awareness and sets an intention to meet the day with presence rather than reactivity. During your workday, practice micro moments of mindfulness. Set a reminder on your phone to check in with yourself every few hours. When it chimes, pause wherever you are and notice. What am I feeling right now? What sensations are present in my body? You don't need to do anything about what you discover, just notice. This practice prevents emotional buildup that leads to overwhelm. When difficult emotions arise during the day, remember the RAIN practice, a sequence that brings mindfulness to emotional experiences. Recognize what you're feeling. Allow it to be present without trying to fix it. Investigate with curiosity. Where do I feel this in my body? What thoughts are accompanying this emotion? Non-identify. Remind yourself that you are not this emotion. It's an experience passing through awareness. End each day with gratitude and self-compassion reflection. Before sleep, bring to mind 3 things you're grateful for. They can be as simple as the sun on your face or the taste of your morning tea. Then acknowledge. Today, I did my best. I accept myself with all my imperfections. May I rest in peace. This practice bookends your day with kindness. Remember that integration is not about perfection. You will forget to practice. You will get swept away by emotions. You will fight when you intended to accept. This is not failure. This is the natural process of learning. Each time you notice you've been caught in resistance, you have an opportunity to begin again. The practice is in the returning, not in never straying. Be patient with yourself. Changing lifelong patterns of emotional resistance takes time. You're not trying to become someone who never feels difficult emotions or who handles everything perfectly. You're learning to be with yourself as you are, moment by moment, with increasing wisdom and compassion. This is the work of a lifetime, and every small step matters. The invitation to freedom. Dear friend, the emotions you've been fighting are not your enemies. They are messengers, teachers, natural expressions of your aliveness. When you stop the war and instead meet each feeling with mindful awareness and gentle acceptance, you discover something extraordinary. The very emotions you feared would destroy you can actually liberate you when you let them move through you without resistance. You don't gain control by holding on tighter. You find freedom by releasing your grip on how things should be and meeting what is with an open heart. This is the wisdom the Buddha discovered under the Bodhi tree, and that countless practitioners have verified through their own experience across 2,500 years. The peace you seek is not found in having only pleasant emotions. It's found in the spacious awareness that can hold all emotions without being defined or destroyed by any of them. Through meditation, through mindfulness, through self-compassion, you develop this capacity. You become like the sky that holds all weather, the ocean that contains all waves. You were never meant to control your emotions. You were meant to learn to be present with them, to understand them, to allow them their natural expression and completion. This is not weakness. This is profound courage. It takes tremendous bravery to stop fighting and simply be with the rawness of your own experience. The moment you stop clinging to pleasant feelings and stop pushing away unpleasant ones, real living begins. In that space of acceptance, You discover that emotions are not obstacles to your life, they are expressions of it. Your sadness is your heart's response to loss. Your anger is your spirit's cry for justice or boundary. Your joy is your soul recognizing beauty. Your fear is your body's attempt to protect you. When you welcome all of it, when you create space for the full spectrum of human feeling, something miraculous happens. The emotions that once controlled you begin to simply pass through. They arise from causes and conditions, they deliver their message, and they naturally subside when you stop feeding them with resistance. You discover that you are not your emotions. You are the aware presence in which emotions appear and disappear. This is the art of stopping the fight, not through force or willpower, but through understanding, through presence, through the gentle power of acceptance. You don't have to be perfect at this. You simply have to keep practicing, keep returning to this moment, keep choosing awareness over resistance. If this message resonates with you, if something within you recognizes this truth, I invite you to begin today. The next time an emotion arises, pause, take a breath. Notice what you're feeling without immediately trying to change it. Say to yourself, "This is what's here right now." And in that simple moment of acknowledgement, you take your first step toward freedom. Thank you for walking this path of wisdom with me. May you find peace in the midst of all your feelings. May you know yourself as the unchanging awareness in which all emotions arise and pass. May you treat yourself with the tender compassion you so deeply deserve. If these teachings have touched something within you, I welcome you to subscribe to this channel, where we explore the profound wisdom of Buddhism and mindfulness for daily life. Share this with someone who might need to hear that it's okay to stop fighting, and most importantly, be gentle with yourself as you practice. You're exactly where you need to be. May you be peaceful. May you be free. May you rest in the natural wisdom of your own aware heart.